The new patch has finally arrived, and it's another big update that drastically updates the aesthetic of Deadlock and looks to add 6 more characters to the lineup to give us 38 heroes in total. Let's check it out. People have been waiting for this patch for a bit, and finally, with the holidays done, Valve has delivered. Let's start this update overview with the new game mode addition in this patch. It's called Street Brawl. Street Brawl is the new fast-paced 4v4 mode that is a hell of a lot of fun. I have been playing it quite a bit. If playing the half-hour typical game is just a little too intimidating, or if you just want more randomness in the game, this mode is what you need. I'll do a full explanation video for Street Brawl, but to give a quick overview, spawn in, choose items from a reduced list of items, win a round by killing the opponent's guardian. Do it all again, and then if your team is up 2-0, win the final round by defeating the opponent's walker. It's a casual, quick dopamine hit mode that the community wanted and expected from Valve. I consider it a lot of fun, and I really see the benefits of it when it comes to appealing to newbies, or, frankly, people who don't have the time to do the regular Deadlock content. Definitely give it a try. Next up, we're going to be talking about the visuals, the aesthetic. We know Deadlock is in kind of a weird stage, where some call it beta, others alpha, and then I'm sure there's other terms people use. But since it was released last year, it was clear the final touches of the art were still to come. Well, this update dropped a bunch of potential final touches. You gotta say potential, because even though things like the main bases now look absolutely amazing, Valve has the time and resources to pivot if they think it isn't good enough. And just look at the main bases. We got the Hidden King section, which, to be honest, is way cooler than the other side. Fire and Brimstone is cool and all that, but they added speakers as its shrines, which gives a very rule of cool feeling, kind of like that guitar guy in Mad Max, you know? Do you need it? Does it make a lot of sense? Is it what you think is going to be in this base? No. Does it look cool? Yes, it does, so go for it. On the other side, the Archmother is clearly well done, with kind of the opposite side of the aesthetic, the blue and the crystals or whatever we got going here, but it doesn't push that rule of cool as much. Kind of low-key, I'm hoping for some amount of redesign for that side, but it's still a massive improvement over the old base, which of course was basically a placeholder and left over from back when Deadlock was called Neon Prime. So huge improvements across the both bases, but yeah, I do enjoy being on the Hidden King side a little bit more. Now, when you enter into your opponent's bases, the lane guardians look so much cooler. The shrines aren't the cookie-cutter replicas, but are unique to the base. The patron looms over you, and when it reduces down to the second stage, there's this big dramatic collapse. So it definitely looks more like you're interrupting some type of spell, or of course ritual, which is actually what they call it, in the game, as you see its kind of emerging powers start to dissipate and then reduce, and then hopefully you get that final killing blow. Now, gameplay-wise, the redesign of the base is also pretty huge. So the first thing you're going to notice is definitely how cool it looks. But the second thing you're going to notice is that it feels a lot bigger. And it also has just totally different pathways. The same way that you would defend the shrine of old is going to be different now, or the same attempts to get into the pit when you're having your last stand is also going to be different between getting into that pit and actually get back to the safe zone. So that's personally been a big change for me, is actually defending the base, well, of course, looking at all the razzle-dazzle that they've added. But that is probably an intentional choice to actually affect the gameplay, as well as just make the base look as cool as it should when you're trying to summon, I guess, some type of elder god. The minions are the next clear big change. Hidden King gets his fire look with the candles, as we remember all minions used to be, but now they just have a lot more detail. They also lose their candles, they get lower in health, which is a nice little addition. The Archmother minions take the, again, I think crystal is kind of the theme here, I guess, and they also carry keyblades. I mean, I didn't actually notice this at first until I started doing this video, but they actually hold keyblades. I mean, I gotta imagine that's kind of on purpose. But anyway, not to infringe on any copyright, they are basically keyblades. It's clearly a step forward graphically, stylistically, but I gotta say, and the community at large kind of agrees, they haven't perfected the balance of style and readability on the minions as of yet. The new minions are just hard to get used to. I've seen lots of other people admit that they've accidentally shot their own minions, which wasn't so much a problem before this patch. And while we already had a small patch to address the readability, it's probably going to be worked on more. I think it's just kind of, the red and blue is a great contrast theoretically, but then there's something where, like, there's the red outline if it's an enemy, but if it goes on the blue side, then that kind of makes it odd. I don't know. The point is they're going to probably look at this and address this as time goes on, but right now there's that balance they're not quite getting of cool design as well as the readability of the game. Similar and not quite finding that balance, the UI. Chat boxes have been changed, and again, already tweaked in a small patch, alongside the overall top bar UI, but it's still not perfect. Smaller font with some lettering in the font being unclear, like the K in the souls, I actually thought was like a TI at first or something. It's just a little difficult to get used to. Little disclaimer, sometimes things that we think are not looking great or we can't immediately read, that changes and we get used to it. Like the item shop, I was one of those people who was a little overwhelmed when they redesigned the item shop to make it look cooler, but I did get used to it. So that's always possible, but I am seeing a lot of other people in the community mention some difficulty, again, with the size of the font of the chat boxes. That's now too small, perhaps. I think they also reduced the size of the chat wheel. It's something I noticed, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. But those types of things, again, the balance isn't quite there between cool and immediately something that you can read. Additionally, the new UI for the character information certainly is ambitious. I think there might have even been some inspiration from a community-made mod or something, but it is hoping to tell a lot in a little space, and I'm not sure that it's the final version, basically. Like, it could be the final version and I would get used to it. They might take another look at what really is the most important information to put on. That kind of top bar, it drops down when you hover over it, or maybe this will be it. But it's a lot of information to put in there. And right now, it's still not in that perfect form for me. Maybe for other people, it's totally fine. Some other improvements of this patch include more decorating in the camps. The camp architecture has been changed in most, if not all, camps, as far as the placement of the actual creep, the size of the room that they're in, whether or not there's hallways leading in and out. All those things have been changed in multiple camps, and I think everything basically got some amount of actual, let's call it like gameplay change. But you'll probably first and foremost notice that it's the detail. The rooms are just so much more detailed. No longer do you go into a room to kill a camp and are like, well, it's just a box. Now you go into the room on the right lane and it's a whole freaking library. So you also got to figure out where the new sinner spawns and where the boxes are. But yeah, it's only a little different, but it is different. Most of all, it's clearly more detailed. I'm sure there's going to be Easter eggs added into all this type of stuff. And yeah, it just looks so much more immersive. I'm sure eventually they'll also change the actual minions in the camp. But yeah, for now, all those camps, they've got a little more added into them. Finally, we get a whole new post-game razzle dazzle. The graphics have been updated. Now we get a little pop when you actually finish the game, because the first thing that happens is that you're going to get an MVP. So the new screens, they look great, and you get to feel good if you got MVP or the key player rewards. So there's one MVP for the overall game and then one key player for each team. Actually, that's not how it works. I saw one where there was two key players on the same team, but MVP was on the other team. So I think it's just a matter of mixing and matching and making sure that both teams are represented in some way. So if your team loses, but you are awesome, you get some recognition. And, they do try and balance this. So not only like the star players, people who get the most kills are the only ones who ever get key player and MVP. But I wouldn't attach too much emotion to these things. But to be honest, as someone who has lost games and received key player in the post screen, it does make me feel better. So I am very happy about that addition. There's actually so much more to this patch than even what I've already listed. The custom channel bars are this great little addition that you wouldn't have thought of, but now that you see that it's been added, you're like, oh, that is really cool. So for example, if you're burrowed as Mo and Krill, it'll show burrow and then it'll lose its filling color to signify the channeling as opposed to just a cookie cutter channel bar. It's just one of those like, oh yeah, that does look cool. There's new damage numbers, objective health bars. Thank God the Walker health bar now shows up on your screen, so you don't have to take a second and look up when defending it. It's just now a bar that appears. There's new character portraits when they're like on fire or they're in critical health. There's been some, I don't know, controversy is the right word, but there's been some discussion about whether or not all these portraits are final, shall we say, but we'll see. There's an in-game rejuve timer now, so you don't need those mods anymore, and a bunch of other things. There's also some changes to the sound, including new music when you spawn into game. and new ultimate voiceovers. So they added an echoey effect that's louder map wide, I believe, to really emphasize when ults are being used.
Swapping now.
I can't hold in for long.
So hopefully everyone and their mom knows that Paradox just swapped someone and their team should take advantage rather than what can happen, which is Paradox swaps someone and they're not really looking at her, and they don't hear anything. So someone who swaps suddenly into the heat of the battle doesn't get targeted immediately. Now it's really obvious whenever any ult is cast. All right, so far we've covered the new game mode, the new visuals, a little bit of the new sound. Let's go ahead and talk about what a lot of people think is the biggest thing about the patch, which is, of course, the new characters. 6 new heroes will be added after the voting period ends, just like the big update. Unlike last time, we don't get a freebie in the form of Mina, but probably because they saw how much the community loved the voting process. But by this time the video releases, if you're currently listening to it, we'll have our first character released. And I've been voting Silver, so I'm hoping it's her, but we'll see who it is. It was, in fact, not Silver, but Rem, who's actually been a really fun character. The 6 new heroes are Silver, Rem, Graves, Apollo, Celeste, and Venator. I have to go ahead and Google that real quick. Venator, apparently, so we're gonna go with that. The point is, he looks cool. New heroes release Monday and Thursdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Oh, and speaking of Rem, there's one more big addition to the map I did not mention. There are tunnels. You can see where the tunnels end and begin and all that if you look around the map. But you also, most importantly, can go through those tunnels if you have a small character like Rem, for instance. When they're released, they're going to be a small character. Or you can test it out now with Calico's Ava form. They can run through those tunnels. You'll see that there's like these really small parts of the tunnels that lead into slightly bigger spaces that you can be like full form Calico, for instance. There's also small, tiny little boxes that can be found in these tunnels that you can destroy. And it's a whole new aspect to the gameplay that is it's not being explored right now, right? But it's going to be a very big addition when we finally get characters that can actually use it more often. I don't know if people have already been using it as Calico, but perhaps to get from one place to another in unexpected ways. I do have a warning if you're going to actually use it, especially in a real game as Calico. If you are stuck in the tiny part of the tunnels that clearly only Ava can fit through, and the Ava form runs out, you will take damage quickly, very quickly. You basically just die. It just encourages you to die. So be careful. Make sure that you actually are either out of the tunnels or in one of the bigger spaces in the tunnels if you are going to run out of the Ava form. And the last thing I want to bring up here is that there are a couple of new items, literally 2, Ballistic Enchantment and Recharging Rush. Other than that, no big gameplay changes. Yes, tunnels are pretty big, and the way that the base is designed is also a big change, but I think you know what I mean. This is not a gameplay patch where everything's been tweaked and numbers have changed and abilities have been changed. Now, this was about the art, this is about the wow factor, and of course about the new heroes that will definitely change up the game to a significant degree, but there's not much more than that. If you're looking to hope that Bebop was nerfed or something, this isn't that patch. So that's almost everything with the new patch, I think. But there's actually so much more. There's tons of small little details I didn't go into. Check out everything. Head to the patch announcement. They've done a great job breaking it down, including screenshots, and you can just find out more. And I'm sure the Reddit community also has been finding out all the little details that sometimes don't make it into a patch announcement. For now, let me just end this video with an opinion on the patch. I do believe this is a significant step forward to actually releasing the game, because not only are we going to get close to the number of heroes really that you would want when you release a MOBA, you're also really starting to get to the details of the aesthetic. They've obviously chosen their art style, which really, a year ago, while the art was fine, it was clearly placeholders and not finalized, and just they hadn't really decided on the overall cohesive look of the game. And it feels like now they really have, and it's about just, getting those updates in. And that's really important, because when it comes to getting to that broader audience, as much as we probably love the gameplay, people watching this video love the gameplay and would suggest people play it no matter what really gets people into it is whether or not they like the way that it looks. I mean, that has actually kept me away from Dota a little bit, as I didn't really appreciate that style. But then as a former weeaboo, I really like League of Legends, so I gave that one a try, and that's one I put hours into. So I am absolutely 100% a believer in focusing in on stuff like this being important. Stuff like whether or not this base is cool, the intro song is cool, the characters are cool, so on and so forth. And that's what this update has really brought forward for me and finalized in many different ways. Having enough characters at launch is also a pretty big point that the community brings up, and perhaps now with 38 heroes, that will be enough to actually launch, or maybe they'll add a few more prior to the launch. They'll probably add some with the launch because that would be a good idea, but we're getting much closer to it being released just based off of feeling. But it's Valve and they have time, resources, talent, etc., to take as long as they want. So I'm making no promises here. I'm not guessing to when they're actually going to release. There's still a couple of other things that need to be done too, which are, to me, the most obvious things that need to be updated. The camps, the actual minions in those camps are not particularly exciting. And then Yamato definitely needs to stop having a 5-head. But damn, if they haven't found something special in Deadlock. I really enjoy what they're putting out as far as the art. I really feel like this is getting to a place that most people would agree it's cool, even people who aren't into Deadlock. And then just working on those really fine touches like the readability versus the style. I'm sure Valve will get it right. They seem very, very competent at this stuff. Making a video game is pretty much their specialty. Anyway, hopefully I see some of you in some absurd street brawls. If you do ever want to play, feel free to stop by my stream, 12 to 4 p.m. Pacific time, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I do not care if you're new or bad. I would love to introduce you to Deadlock. It's just a fun time. So catch me then, and otherwise have fun playing Deadlock. And thank you for watching. See you later.